Yes, very good morning. So myself, Prakash Karthik, I am the Polity faculty. So yesterday we have started our first class. So yesterday we talked about the basics of the Constitution and as well as the basic parts that we discussed. Okay, so no worries. Let us today start with the schedules of the Constitution. So yesterday we discussed like how many schedules are there originally? Schedules. Originally 8 schedules are there and as well as at present it was 12 schedules are there. So okay, what are schedules? So schedules are like you can write it like they are like auxiliary provisions. So like they are an appendix. So to a book for example. So these schedules are like those particular aspects. And there are 12 schedules of the Constitution, and if you see the schedule number 1. Yesterday we discussed part 1. What is part 1? Union and as well as its territory. So there we discussed that wherever we want to change, alter the boundaries of the state or rename a state, in all those aspects, how it has to be done was mentioned in part 1. Whenever if you make any changes, like for example, 2019 Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act. So Jammu and Kashmir as a state was split up into 2 union territories, Jammu and Kashmir with legislative assembly and Ladakh without legislative assembly. That division, when that was added, so that will be updated in schedule 1. Okay. Earlier, prior to 2014, we have Andhra Pradesh, AP. That state is mentioned in schedule number 1. And once the change has been done, which change? AP Bifurcation Act 2014 came up and Telangana was carved out. That means a new state has been created. Now again, the schedule has to be updated. So that means whenever you create a new states or whenever you create a new union territories, whenever you even rename it, it has to be updated in the schedule number 1 of the Constitution. That was the reason we said that names of the states and union territories and to what extent their territorial jurisdiction is also mentioned in schedule number 1 only. Okay, so these 12 schedules are very important. These are basics and you should know. When I say the names of the states and duties, you should know that it was the schedule 1 I am talking about, and similarly vice versa as well, once that is done. Then coming to the schedule number 2. Yesterday we have talked about the many important posts like for example president, vice president, governor and all these things. Whatever all the salaries and as well as emoluments that will be given to them will be mentioned under schedule number 2 of the Constitution. So for example, if a president's salary is revised, who will revise? If the president's salary is revised, who will revise? It is the parliament which will revise. And once that is revised, that will be updated in schedule 2. So president, governor, etc. There are some other officers as well whose salaries and as well as allowances, their all details are mentioned in schedule number 2 of the Constitution. So schedule number 1 talks about the names of the states and their union territories and also their territorial jurisdiction. So schedule 2 talks about salaries, emoluments, allowances of the president, governor, etc. officers. So what are all the officers? I'll give you in a detailed way, we will discuss all that thing. Number 3, schedule number 3 talks about oath. In Telugu we call it as Pramana Swikaram antam kada. The way how we have to take the oath. Okay, so I so and so, they will say the oath, right? So that particular oath, how they have to take is mentioned in schedule number 3. To whom? To our officers like members of the parliament, for example, or the Supreme Court judges. So whenever a new Supreme Court judge has been appointed, then they have to take the oath, which is as mentioned in schedule number 3 of the Constitution. Clear, right? The first 3 schedules. Then comes the 4th schedule. 4th schedule deals with Council of States. What are Council of States? What is Parliament? What is Parliament? The moment I say what is Parliament, Parliament is basically a combination of Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha. Is it that Parliament means only Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha? Or something else is also there? Or something else is also there? Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha? No, it was President. Even President is also part of the Parliament. Okay, he is also the integral part of the Parliament. And if you talk about Lok Sabha, what was the other name of Lok Sabha? House of People. When I take Rajya Sabha, It is called as Council of States. Council of States. Okay, when we are discussing about the composition and all those aspects, we will much more in a detailed way we will discuss. So Rajya Sabha, the other name is Council of States, and the Lok Sabha other name is House of People. So therefore, the parliament includes the Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha plus President. Yes? Yes. Then, now, if you talk about Lok Sabha, how many seats are there? 545 seats. They are called Member of Parliament. And in Rajya Sabha, how many seats? 245. So in Lok Sabha, we have 545, and as well as in Rajya Sabha, we have 245 as the strength. The both constitutes Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha and then President. What was the other name of Lok Sabha? Other name of Lok Sabha? House of People. House of People. And as well as Rajya Sabha? Council of States. Council of States. Okay. We should not use Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. The exact words are like House of People and as well as Council of States. That was the reason. Now tell me, in schedule number 4, when they talk about Council of States, to which house they are referring to? Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha? Rajya Sabha, correct. Because Lok Sabha means House of People, Rajya Sabha means Council of States. So the Council of States means here they are talking about Rajya Sabha. Okay. So now, in this Council of States, okay, how many seats are there in the Council of States? No worries, I'll give you some time for you to write, then you can write it down, okay? So because that sync will be missing out or otherwise, okay? I'll give you some time, 2 to 3 minutes I'll give you, so that then you can write down. Yes. So now therefore, Council of States means, whether is it Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha? Rajya Sabha. The other name of Council of States is Rajya Sabha, or the other name of Rajya Sabha is Council of States. Lok Sabha is also known as House of People. House of People, okay? And then, what constitutes Parliament? Parliament includes Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha plus President. So please be very clear, and endukante which of the following constitutes the Parliament and adiginappudu? A. Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha only. B. Only Lok Sabha. C. Only Rajya Sabha. D. Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha plus President is the correct answer that you need to mark it down. Then, in this particular Council of States, that means in this particular Rajya Sabha, we have a representation of states and as well as union territories. So that means states also have the representation there, union territories also have the representation there. Where? In Rajya Sabha. So to which state, how many seats have to be allocated? Okay, all those details will be mentioned in schedule number 4. Schedule number 1 talks about names of the states and the union territories and their territorial jurisdiction. Schedule number 2 talks about salaries, allowances of the president, governor, etc. other bodies. Schedule number 3 talks about oaths, allowances, oaths of the important officers, like for example members of the parliament, Supreme Court judges, etc. And schedule number 4 talks about allocation of seats where? In Council of States, to the states and union territories. Okay, that is what is schedule number 4. Okay, then in total how many schedules are there? 12 schedules are there. Now can you tell me what is schedule number 3? That slide has been moved. What is schedule number 3? Schedule number 3 deals with oath of the members of the parliament and as well as Supreme Court judges. What is schedule number 2? Salaries, allowances of the president, governor, etc. What is schedule number 1? Names of the states and as well as the territory and their territorial jurisdiction. And finally schedule number 4? Allocation of seats in the Council of States to states and union territories. Those are the first 4 schedules. Okay. So now let us assume that Kerala want to change its name to as Keralam. Example. Okay, Kerala has changed its name to Keralam. Let us assume that. Now, which schedule you will update? Schedule number 1, absolutely correct. Okay, now as a Telangana, now we were seeing like how many seats that we got in the Rajya Sabha. Which schedule I should look into? 4, schedule number 4, absolutely correct. So now I was recently sworn in as a Supreme Court judge. Now I should have the oath. In which schedule should I look into? Schedule number 3. Okay, I am very much interested about my perks and as well as allowances as a governor. So to which schedule I should do? To this you should know. Okay. Then comes schedule number 5 and schedule number 6. Schedule number 5, yesterday we talked about that apart from states and union territories, we have some other areas called as schedule and tribal areas. These areas administration is completely different. So that means we should have some specialized administration to those particular things. How we have to carry out the administration in those particular areas is mentioned in schedule 5 and 6. So that means the main objective of schedule 5 and 6 incorporation is to protect the interests of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. If you read the same thing, it deals with the administration and control of scheduled areas as well as scheduled tribes residing in any state other than certain states. That means there is an exception of 4 states. What are all those 4 states and all? We will discuss soon. So my intention is not to burden you with every detail now itself. So you should first of all know that schedule 5 and 6 have been incorporated with an objective to protect the interests of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Once you are clear with that, so therefore schedule 5 deals with all the states but except 4 states. That was the reason we mentioned in certain states, except in certain states. And schedule 6 deals with administration of tribal areas in those 4 states. Whatever the states that I mentioned about, except though in those 4 states, so schedule number 6 talks about. Clear, right? So these are the 6 schedules we are talking about. Now comes schedule number 7. Yesterday we talked about union list, state list. So that means we have something called as the relations between union and as well as the state governments. So the powers have been distributed between union and the state government. How the powers have been distributed? This talks about schedule number 7. Okay, so there are 3 lists. We call it as 3 lists. The first list is called as union list. Second list is called as state list. And the third list is called as concurrent list. There are only 3 lists. First one is union list, state list or concurrent list. A union list basically contains some subjects, list of subjects, like for example defense. It is a national related importance. So that has to be, that means the law has to be made by which particular body? Union. Union means law making body at the union level is what? Parliament. That means union list, whatever the subjects which are mentioned in the union list, on those subjects, who will make the law? Only Parliament will make the law. Correct? Yes. Then state list. So that means the name itself says that only who will make the laws? State legislature will make the laws, which includes assembly plus council. Legislative assembly plus legislative council. So that means union list. So it is basically contains the list of subjects on which only the Parliament will make the law. State list. It contains a list of subjects on which only the state legislature can make the law. What about concurrent list? Both or neither? What about concurrent list? Governor? Okay. So concurrent list means it's basically the list of subjects on which both Parliament and state legislature, they both can make the laws. Okay. Both the Parliament and as well as the state legislature can make the laws on the list of subjects which are mentioned in the concurrent list. For example, on a particular subject, if both union government, that is Parliament, here let us assume that it's a parent, has also made a law, and the state government, that means state legislature, has also made a law, then whose law will prevail? I hope you have understood my question. So now I am talking about concurrent list. And in concurrent list, there are some subjects, okay? On one of the subjects, both the Parliament and state legislature has made a law. Because they both are competent enough, right? If that is the case, whose law will prevail? Parliament's law or state legislature's law? Parliament's law, correct. Because the parent is much more superior than that of the child. So the Parliament's law will prevail. But however, that concerned state legislature can go to the president and request him that my state circumstances are little bit different. So that is the reason why I have made a law. So let me first implement my law in the state. If that particular state requests to the president, then that is called as, then in that particular state, that state law will prevail, and at the central level, the remaining other states, Parliament law will prevail. I hope you have understood. Yes. So therefore, we have three lists called as union list, state list, and concurrent list. What are all the lists and what are the subjects which are mentioned in that list? Everything is specified in Schedule 7. Okay? Yes. So they will ask you the question like, so the Parliament, there is a law between the Parliament and as well as the state legislature. So whose law will prevail? Or they will ask you like, in which schedule the powers between the center and as well as the states are distributed? Schedule number 7. So 5 and 6. 5 and 6 are all about protecting the interests of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Schedule number 7 deals with the lists. You can just simply remember it deals with the three lists: union list, state list, and concurrent list. You should know which list who will make a law, and okay, and as well as when there is a conflict, whose law will prevail. All those aspects you need to be very thorough. So now, do you remember schedule number 1 to 4? Pakka, really? Okay, fine then. Then let's go to the schedule number 9. It contains a list of central and state laws which cannot be challenged in courts. Before understanding this law, you should know a term called as judiciary. Everybody know it? Judicial review. What is judicial review? What is judicial review? Okay, yesterday we discussed, but today as well we will discuss. Like we have executive, legislature, and judiciary. At judiciary, at the central level, okay, at the central level and at the state level. At central level, the legislature is called, okay, is called Parliament. At the central level, the legislature is called as Parliament. And as well as at the state level, it is basically the Legislative Assembly plus, okay, Legislative Assembly plus Legislative Council. Now can I say that Parliament will make the laws on the list of subjects mentioned in union list? True? Yes. True. State legislature can make the laws on the subjects which are mentioned in, can I say concurrent list? Concurrent list is also correct, right? Because both state legislature can make the laws on state list as well as concurrent list as well. Later on, which law will prevail, that is secondary. But on concurrent list as well, state legislature can make the laws. That is perfectly fine. Now, central level executive, it is basically the president plus council of ministers. President plus council of ministers. They come under executive. Can you tell me at state level? When it is at the central level, president plus council of ministers, what is at state level? Correct. Governor plus council of ministers. Council of ministers includes chief minister here, and council of ministers includes prime minister there. Okay, fine. So, who will make a law? Executive, legislature, or judiciary? Who will make a law? Judiciary will make a law. Legislature will make a law. Legislature will make a law. At central level, what are all the laws that are required for our country will be enacted by the Parliament, and at the state level will be enacted by that concerned state legislature. Okay. Whatever the laws that are made by legislature or the executive orders or the judiciary judgments, everything has to be complementary to Constitution. Everything has to be complementary. No law should be in conflict with that of this Constitution of India. For example, okay, yesterday we talked about an example of motor vehicles amendment. Let us make a law. Women are not allowed to drive. If this was the law, women are not allowed to drive. If this is basically a law that was made by the Parliament. So tomorrow what happens? Executive, the traffic constable will stop that particular female employee and will levy a challan against her. Isn't it? Why? Because see, I have helmet with me, I have valid driving license with me, I have pollution certificate, everything is there with me, then why? Why? Because yesterday Parliament has passed a law which says that women are not allowed to drive. As an executive today I am implementing it, so I am levying a fine on you. If executive says like this, then what is the option for that employee? Where she can go? Approach to Supreme Court of India. So now she will approach to Supreme Court of India because her right is violated, because she is getting discriminated there. So that is how what she will do. Therefore, she will approach Supreme Court of India, and Supreme Court of India, what it will do? It will say that, yes, what is your concern? My concern is that I was being discriminated. On what basis? On the basis of gender. Okay, how it has happened. Yesterday Parliament has passed a law. So this employee will narrate every story to the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court, what it will do? Whatever that law which has banned the women from driving, just bring that law. It will take that law on one hand, and what should be on the other hand? Constitution of India on the other hand. Constitution says that everybody is equal before the law, but this law says that women are not allowed to drive. So that means it outrightly the law made by Parliament is violating the Constitution. What need to be done with this law then? It need to be strike off. Completely Supreme Court will strike off this particular law and uphold the Constitution. Saying that Constitution is supreme, and this law, since it violated the Constitution, it will not continue. It will declare it as null and void. Clear? It will declare it as null and void. So the way in which bringing the law and checking its constitutionality is nothing but judicial review. So that means judiciary is basically reviewing the law that was made by the Parliament. Internet is checking the constitutionality, whether is it constitutional or not. In this case, is that law constitutional? No. So outrightly, it has to be strike off. Okay, fine. This schedule was created with that objective. Why? Because this schedule was created by the government. Okay. Government says that I will make some laws. Even though they violate fundamental rights, even though to an extent Constitution, you should not strike off that particular law. As a judiciary, it is basically saying to the judiciary that I will include some laws in this particular schedule, and even though you should not, by using judicial review, you should not say that they are unconstitutional, you should not say that they are violating the Constitution, and that is how the schedule was created. If you just read that again, it contains a list of central and state laws which cannot be challenged in the courts. This is exclusive privilege that has been, a new schedule has been created in the year 1951. So by the Jawaharlal Nehru's government, this particular schedule has been created. Why this schedule is created? And as well as the other in-depth important things we will discuss when we are in detail discussing that schedule. But let me in a nutshell explain you why. Are you aware of Jamindari system? Yeah, Jamindari system. So where the majority of the people possess huge chunks of land, and on the opposite side, so there are many farmers who are completely landless. Okay, so now this majority of the wealth has to be taken away from these Jamindars, and it has to be given to the poor people. But what happens is, whenever we try to take away this particular land from the Jamindar, he is saying that my fundamental right is violated. Which right? Article number 31 of the Constitution. Article number 31 of the Constitution deals with right to property. Okay, which is a fundamental right. And if when we go to, and then the government is going to the Jamindar and asking that, so we want to take away the land, then immediately they are approaching where? To Supreme Court. Saying that, so government is trying to take away our lands. So it's like saying something like it will be distributed to poor kind of things the government is telling. But however, it violates my fundamental right. So then immediately Supreme Court, what it will do? It will strike off that law. To avoid this particular issue, if that particular law has been kept in 9th schedule, and say that judiciary, I am keeping the law here in this schedule because I am doing for the public good only. Okay, because the wealth has to be distributed to the poor people. With that objective I was doing. Now you cannot say that Article 31 is violated and I have to strike off this law. No, please don't do that. That is what is the objective of creating the 9th schedule. So schedule number 9 deals with laws of the central and as well as state government which have been kept, which are outside the judicial review. Clear? Yes. Then comes schedule number 10. What about schedule number 10? I think you are aware of. So contesting on one party's ticket and then after electing, moving to the another party is basically called as defection. Okay, that is basically a cheating on people, right? Because we voted you not because of you as an individual, because of your party we have voted that you will be doing good. But you say that, okay, I'll contest with this XYZ party and you won there and immediately you are switching the turns. This is called as defection and this has to be prevented. That was the reason why the Schedule 10 has been added. Schedule 10 deals with anti-defection law. Anti-defection law, which was enacted in the year 1985. Okay. Schedule number 9, 1951. Schedule number 10, 1985. Okay. This was one of the questions that UPSC has asked earlier. Like, the question is like, Schedule number 9 has been created under the Prime Ministership of Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, that's what we have written there. So, okay. Now identify when Schedule 10 has been created. Who was the Prime Minister and who was the President when Schedule 10 has been enacted. I have given you the year as well. Okay, 1985. So just do it as a very pretty small homework. Identify the President and identify the Prime Minister. Because if you extrapolate the Schedule number 9 question, tomorrow may UPSC might ask Schedule number 10 based question. Okay, that was the reason. Then the last two schedules which deals with the local self-government. The last two schedules deals with the local self-government, which is basically schedule number 11 deals with panchayats, schedule number 12 deals with municipalities. That's it. These are the only existing 12 schedules of the constitution. Originally there are 8 schedules and at present there are 12 schedules. 4 schedules have been added on. Okay. So now can you tell me from schedule number 1 to schedule number 12? Yeah, you are ready, thorough. This schedule has been created with an objective to promote the interests of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Which schedules I am talking about? 5 and as well as 6. Okay. This schedule has been created to prevent the defections in the parliament. Which schedule it was? Schedule number 10, correct. So this schedule deals with the allocation of Council of States, seats in the Council of States to states and as well as UTs. Schedule 4, correct. So this schedule deals with the 3 lists called as union list, state list and concurrent list. Which schedule? 7. Schedule number 7, union list, state list and concurrent list. By tomorrow you need to be very thorough with these things because just now you have seen these schedules, right? So no need to memorize just that fast. But however, you should understand that these schedules in a holistic fashion. Clear, yes. Then let us do some questions. In the same, from 2023, if we go back, these are the questions that were asked by UPSC. We just handpicked those questions on schedules. So now it is your duty to answer these questions. Perfect? Question. The 9th schedule was introduced in the Constitution of India during the Prime Ministership of? That's it. Jawaharlal Nehru. In the year? 1951. Correct. 1951. So the Jawaharlal Nehru has basically added. So the answer is like Jawaharlal Nehru. Then this question. Yes, the provisions in the 5th schedule and 6th schedule in the Constitution of India are made in order to protect the interests of scheduled tribes, determine the boundaries between states, determine the powers, responsibilities of panchayats, protect the interests of all the border states. Absolutely correct. That is what is scheduled tribe. This is how they will frame the questions. Okay. And this schedule is 11th schedule. This they asked about only panchayats, so 11. If they ask municipalities, then it is 12. Correct. So that is what we mentioned here. The provisions of 5th and 6th schedule of Indian Constitution are made to protect the interests of the scheduled tribes. Yes, this question. The Parliament of India can place a particular law in the 9th schedule of the Constitution. Okay. Second one, the validity of a law that is placed in the 9th schedule cannot be examined by any court and no judgment can be made on it. First, let's see the first statement itself and then we will see the second statement. The Parliament of India can place a particular law in the 9th schedule of the Constitution. Can it place? Yes, it can place. So the statement number 1 is correct. Then statement number 2. The validity of a law that is placed in that 9th schedule. Validity means it's like constitutional validity. To what extent it is constitutionally valid or not. Cannot be examined by any court and no judgment can be made on it. Is this statement also true? Okay. Since this was just the beginning, we said that that is the objective of the Parliament. That is the objective of the Parliament. I will create a schedule and I will keep a law in it, and even if you violate judicial review, so even if you violate fundamental rights, it should not be struck off by the Supreme Court. Now it's the turn of Supreme Court. What Supreme Court has said? Supreme Court has said that, okay, you keep the laws in it, okay. So even if they violate fundamental rights, okay, I agree. But even if they violate something called as, this is something pretty advanced as of now for us, but please be very thorough. There is something called as basic structure, okay. So there is basic structure is involved, which was innovated by the Supreme Court of India, which said that if your laws that are made by Parliament violates this basic structure, I cannot accept. Okay, why? Because 9th schedule will be misused. Okay, just make a law, keep it in 9th schedule, so that judiciary will not see. Make a law, keep it in 9th schedule, judiciary will not see. This is how Parliament used to behave. So then Supreme Court has to keep a check on it. You make the laws, keep in the 9th schedule. But as a Supreme Court, I may not strike off those laws on the basis of fundamental rights, but on the basis of basic structure, I can strike off that law. What is basic structure? The doctrine of basic structure in Keshwan and the Bharati case, and all those things we will discuss. So, okay. So this question directly picked from the 2018 prelims question. This was the. So therefore, as of now, our current knowledge is, let's restrict it to first question, first option itself. Parliament can place a law in the 9th schedule of the Constitution of India. Done, right? Then, can you answer this one? There are certain questions which you can just in a second have to answer, okay. So these are time saving questions actually, so that in a better, like in an ancient India or medieval India based questions or economy based questions, you can invest more time there. So this is how, this is basically the most scoring subject, and here the answer is the 10th schedule. In which year it was added, this schedule? 1985. 1985. Now the things went into some other way. Okay, so what is this second schedule is all about? Salaries and as well as allowances of the president, governor, etc. What about 5th schedule? Scheduled tribes and as well as schedulers. 8th schedule we missed it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Official languages. Okay, maybe it was like missed by mistake. So it was actually, it deals with the list of all the official languages, and how many official languages are there? 22 official languages are there. So by now, okay, you are very thorough with the schedules. Please make sure that tomorrow you need to be thorough with parts as well. Okay, this was one such practice question. You can try to answer. The question is asking you not correct one. First schedule, Union and Territory. Second schedule, salaries of some public officials. 5th schedule, administration of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes. 8th schedule, anti-defection laws.
D.
Correct. D. Why? Because what 8th schedule deals with? 8th schedule, what actual real, it deals with official languages. In which schedule anti-defection law mentioned? 10th schedule, correct. Okay, so the same thing we have written the matter here. Then, can you answer this one? which is not correct again. Third schedule, forms of oath. Seventh schedule, allocation of powers between union and states. Ninth schedule, contains laws which cannot be challenged in courts. 11th schedule, directive principles of state policy. Yes. D is the correct answer, 11th schedule, because it is not directive principles of state policy. 11th schedule actually deals with panchayats, correct. And directive principles are mentioned in which part? Part 4 of the constitution. Yesterday we discussed these particular things, okay. So the 11th schedule deals with panchayats and directive principles are mentioned in part 4 of the constitution, correct. So the same thing we have mentioned. Can you answer this question? Like it was a parts based question. Can you answer this question? Like based on yesterday's understanding, this question is all about. Yesterday absent. Please be very regular from tomorrow, or otherwise we will miss out these type of questions. That fun we will be missing. 7th schedule, okay. Fundamental rights, okay. Fine. So, well, correct. They are actually, so welfare measures generally, welfare measures are nothing. These are the directions which are issued by the constitution to the state or basically the government, and they are all mentioned in state policy, okay. And particularly it was like article number 38 of the constitution. Forget about these articles and all now, as of now. So we will see those articles in depth when we are going in the foundation batch. As of now, the idea of welfare state is basically mentioned in the directive principles of state policy. Now we will start a new topic altogether. That is called preamble. Okay, a 2 minutes break. No need? Okay. So now the question, like, what is preamble? What is preamble? No idea? Even no idea, no worries. So because if you have some idea, half knowledge will be very dangerous, right? Even if we are completely zero, we can start very easily. Okay. Whatever, any book if you take, in every book we will see something called as foreword or a preface. Like this book is written by so and so author. This book was, like for example, if you see Indian Polity by Lakshmikant, this book was written by Lakshmikant, and this book is useful for civil services aspirants and those people who are students, aspirants who are also applying for SSC, CGL, SSC, CHSL, etc., etc., etc. So that means whoever all reading polity, so this book will be very useful. So that means foreword will give you all the details about who is the author of this book, so with to whom this book is intended to, what are the objectives this book want to achieve, exactly the preamble as well. But preamble to the constitution. To the constitution, preamble acts like a foreword. For a book, we have a foreword, like preamble is basically the foreword to the Constitution of India. So that means what it will tell about? It will basically provide you the details about who has written this constitution, okay. So to whom, what are the objectives of this constitution, and when this constitution was adopted, every detail is being mentioned in the preamble. Let us read some basic facts. The first point, as we have already discussed, it is basically an introduction or preface to the Constitution of India. So they will ask you like this, which of the following parts of the Constitution or deals with the, is an introduction or a preface to the Constitution? A, preamble. B, fundamental rights. C, citizenship. D, union and its territories. It is the preamble. Preamble acts as an introduction or a preface to the Constitution of India. Second important, if you, by now you might be aware of that in our constitution we have many features that we brought up from multiple countries. Isn't it right? For example, fundamental rights we brought from US constitution, directive principles, Irish constitution, okay, etc., etc. So that means you should have basic understanding that there are many features in our constitution we brought from other countries. Likewise, The idea of having a preamble is also taken from the American Constitution. It is the American Constitution who have started this practice of having a preamble. From them, we thought that, okay, it will be good if we also have that preamble, and then we took that idea, okay, and we also incorporated preamble into our Constitution. Then, what need to be written inside it? We took the preamble, that's fine, but what if we written inside it was actually taken from the Objectives Resolution, which was passed by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in the Constituent Assembly in 1946. While the people or constitutional makers are drafting the constitution in the Constituent Assembly, so there is something called as Objectives Resolution, which was actually initiated by Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, so with that, what is this Objectives Resolution? Objectives Resolution is simple. It basically provides you the fundamentals on what this constitution has to be depend upon. The basic principles were written in the Objectives Resolution, and that was moved by the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in the year 1946. Whatever the content that is there in the Objectives Resolution, we took that in the preamble. Clear? Point number 1, preamble is basically an introduction or preface to the constitution. Point number 2, the idea of having a preamble is taken from the American Constitution. Number 3, the content that is there inside the preamble is taken from the Objectives Resolution, which was moved by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in the year 1946. They will ask you like, so the preamble, on what basis the preamble is depend upon? A, Government of India Act 1935, B, Cripps Mission, C, Cabinet Mission, and then D, Objectives Resolution. Okay, that the answer is Objectives Resolution. And the second question is, Objectives Resolution was initiated by A, Mahatma Gandhi, B, Jawaharlal Nehru, C, Motilal Nehru, D, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Okay, so here the answer is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Very important points, and we can answer just like these questions. That is the reason we need to pay attention very clearly. Then, continue to the next basics. It is basically a summary document of the Constitution. If you go and read Supreme Court judgments, there will be hundreds of pages. We cannot read the hundreds of pages, but what we will read is executive summary. So what in that executive summary, who are the petitioners, basically who are the involved, people involved, and what was the judgment finally given by these things. So with that, we will come to know that, okay, this case deals with these particular aspects. That is how the preamble. When you read the preamble, we need not read all the 448 articles to understand why it was written. Just read preamble, that is sufficient. Okay, what it want to achieve, what are the objectives it want to achieve, everything we can understand from this particular preamble. That was the reason it is regarded as a summary document. Then there is something called as, preamble is also referred to as identity card of the Constitution by a jurist called as Palkhiwala. N.A. Palkhiwala has given this particular tagline to the preamble, that preamble is basically the identity card of the Constitution. Okay, yes. Even the exact text of the preamble is also very important, Andy. It's like, even you should even memorize it. Basically, just like that, it need to be natural. No need to hard memorize it. No need of that. Like it says that, we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic, and to secure to all of its citizens, number 1, justice, social, economic, and political. Next, liberty of thought, expression, faith, belief, and worship, equality of status and as well as opportunity, fraternity, ensuring the dignity of the individual and unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949, we do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. Okay? Basically, it contains 3 parts. This is part number 1. This is part number 2, and this is part number 3. we will divide the exact text of the preamble into these parts. If you see the part number 1 provides you what are the characteristics of your country. Don't say India, India always, say our country. Okay. While you are writing your means answers as well, you should write down in our country, our country. So that shows your sense of belongingness. So the first and foremost part deals with the characteristics of India, what India is all about. And the second part deals with the what this constitution want to achieve, objectives. And finally, the third one is all about when it was adopted. It will provide you the details when it was adopted. Yes. The first and foremost question, who has written this constitution? What is the source of power? Who has written? Constitutional makers has written. Then who has written this? It is basically the people of India who has written this. Okay, because the first thing itself, they did not said we the constitutional makers, or they did not said we the prime minister and president. They said we the people of India, because the people who are sitting are just our representatives. So that is why they are saying that we the people of India have resolved all our disputes to constitute India into a. These words are very important, Andy. Even the order is also very important. Okay, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. Even this order, you should not even tweak the order as well, because UPSC will tweak it in options. Okay, and identify the exact order: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and as well as a republic. And in them, number 1, socialist, secular. These two words, and there is one more word, integrity. These three words were not there originally in the constitution. When I say originally, in the year when the constitution was adopted, these three words, socialist, secular and as well as integrity, these three words are not there. So remove the socialist and secular. That means what is the exact verbatim? We the people of India having sovereignty to constitute India into a sovereign, democratic republic. That's so. There are no words called socialist and secular. This was later on added through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. So the question will be, what is the exact constitutional status in the year 1950 of our country? They will give you sovereign, socialist, secular, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, sovereign, democratic republic, democratic republic and secular. In a multiple ways they will give you, and the answer here is sovereign, democratic and republic. That's it. Okay, clear. We will identify, understand what and every word we will understand clearly. Now let us first focus on the first part. First of all, sovereign. What is sovereign? When I say sovereign, what is sovereign? Sovereign means basically that we are basically, by sovereign, we mean to say that up till 1947, prior to 1947, we were under the control of British. So basically we are under the control of British. Whatever the decisions which are required for our country, who used to take? British used to take. So we don't have any say. On behalf of us, they will take. But after 1947, now we became independent. So that means we ourselves can take the decisions on our own regarding us. And we are the ultimate supreme for us. When you say that you are ultimate supreme and internally and externally you are the only one who are taking the decisions, that is called as sovereign. Clear? Sovereign means in a single word, you basically the highest, you are basically the supreme or you are the independent. These two are the words you should remember. The same thing we have written. The term sovereign in the preamble of Indian Constitution signifies that India is an independent and autonomous entity in both its internal and external effects. Okay? Fine. So then even now are we the member of Commonwealth group of nations? Yes. Even now we are actually the member of the Commonwealth group of nations. How many member countries are there in this Commonwealth group? Even this can be a potential question. When something area has not been touched by UPSC, so for sure in the next time they will touch. Because when you are talking about sovereign, you should know about Commonwealth Group of Nations, because India is a member. Earlier we used to be a dominion. So there are how many member nations are there? 56 member nations are there in Commonwealth Group of Nations. And the head of this Commonwealth Group of Nations is actually the British monarch. Who is that? Charles III. Okay, Charles III is the British monarch now, and he is the head of this Commonwealth Group of Nations. Okay, and does it mean by, since we are part, he has some control on us? No. Okay, even though he is a part of the Commonwealth Group of Nations, even though we are the members of the Commonwealth Group of Nations, so the British monarch has no power on us, no control on us. Why? Because we are sovereign. He is just a nominal head, that's it. Okay, we thought to continue our membership in the Commonwealth even after 1950. Okay, so you should understand that. Consider the following statements about Commonwealth Group of Nations. Point number 1, it comprises of about 56 member nations. Point number 2, India is not a member, and it has basically been came out of Commonwealth Group of Nations in 1950 itself. They'll give the statements like that. But no, even today we are just the member of the Commonwealth Group of Nations. Point number 3, the head of the Commonwealth Group of Nations is a British monarch, and his decisions are binding on all the other countries. Is it true? No. Okay, he cannot influence on any country. So, okay, the next things I'll provide you in the notes. These are the basic points about what sovereign is all about. Whatever all we discussed up till now, I just kept it in the slide. Next comes socialist. Okay, yes, what is socialist is all about? The second important word. Okay, so just take 30 seconds time, just look at it, then we'll continue. If you have written something, you can revise it. Yes, perfect. Sir, what is 7th schedule? Schedule number 7. Schedule tribes? Maybe you are just one step close. 5th and 6th schedule are schedule tribes and schedule tribal areas. What is 7th schedule? Can you? Schedule number 7.
Parliament cannot be changed the law.
Okay, that was 9th schedule. Anyway, by tomorrow, make sure that you remember these schedules. Okay, it deals with union list, state list, and concurrent list. Yes. When you come to the word called socialist, it is basically that. It is basically that the public and as well as private sector coexist with each other. And there exists a concept of private property as well. That is what this socialist is all about. We will discuss this socialist in depth when we are discussing its associated provisions. Yes, I think it is very easy for you. What is secular? Secular. Secular. Any idea? No idea? No. Yes, religion. Okay, when somebody, if you say that if your religion is, yes, my religion is Hindu. If somebody says my religion is Christian, my religion is Muslim. What is the religion of the government? What is the religion of the state? Is it Hindu? Is it Muslim or Christianity? What was the religion? There is no religion at all to the government. So that means it is actually religious neutral. Okay, it treats all religions equally. And it will not discriminate any religion. whenever the particular country's government is in such a way that it is religious neutral, then you can use the term called secular. Secular is all about religious aspect. So, okay, do you have any state religion? For example, Pakistan, they are completely Muslim dominated religion, country. But however, India on the other hand, so we have so much religious diversity, and the government or the country don't have any specific religion. And at the same time, it will not favor only one religion, be it Hindu or Muslim or Christian, whatever it is. And on the other side, it will not discriminate any religion. You are Christian, so and so you are not allowed. You are Muslim, so and so you are not allowed. No, this is how it will not work like that. So either the positive and as well as in the negative way. Positive way, it treats all religions equally. Negative way, it will never ever discriminate any religion, is called as secularism. That basic, in a layman terms, first of all, we need to be familiar with the things. The same thing we have written here. So the term secular in the preamble of Indian Constitution signifies that the state observes something called as religious neutrality. Okay. What is sovereign? If we are independent or the supreme control lies with us. What is socialist? Coexist with each other. Okay. Then comes republic. Very easy one, republic. Okay. Let us assume two things. Two countries A and B are there. Let us understand the head of that particular A and head of this country B. The only question we will ask, who is your head of your nation? We will get some answer. Number 2 question I'll ask, is that head of the nation is elected or not? That's it. Only 2 questions I'll ask. So first question. So since I belong to the country India, so I may be asked like, to which country you belongs to? I belong to India. Okay, fine. Who is your head of your nation? I say that President of India is the head of my nation. Number 2nd question. Is your president elected or hereditary position? No, my president is not hereditary position. He is elected actually, and he is the highest authority in my country. Then you are republic. That's it. Now, let us assume that I am Bhutan. The first question, who is your head of your nation? My head of my nation is king. And second question, is your king elected or hereditary position? Hereditary position. So obviously, then you are not republic and you are monarchy. There exist only 2 things, either republic or monarchy. So republic means only 2 questions, who is your highest authority and is that highest authority is elected or not? When somebody says that if the highest authority of a country is elected, then that is basically republic. Is India republic or monarchy? Republic. Who is the head of our nation? President. So he is basically elected by the people, but however indirectly. We will see when we are talking about the election of the president and all the detailed provisions, we will see how it is indirectly elected and all those things. The same thing we have written here. The term republic in the preamble of the constitution signifies that the head of the state is an elected or basically nominated and will not have a hereditary monarch. So never ever. Bhutan is one such example. And if you see the Gulf countries, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Oman, all these countries are all examples of because there the ruling will be on king. That is what is republic. So I hope we have covered all the words: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic is missing, and republic. And the last word is, let's see, democratic. What is democratic? Democratic means, in simple way, never ever confuse until like rule by the people. So the people itself will rule themselves. That is what is democracy or democratic. Is India a democratic country? Yes, obviously India is a democratic country. Now tell me, there are 2 different types in democratic. Like one is direct democracy and second one is indirect democracy. Now tell me whether India is a direct democracy or indirect democracy. Direct? Direct democracy. Okay. So then you should understand the distinction between the direct democracy and as well as indirect democracy. Direct democracy means the people directly rule themselves. Okay, so that means there will not be any middle layer called so-called representative. So they will only take the decisions. For example, if this particular is a class, so we can have the direct democracy, because when our strength is low, we can have the direct democracy. But on the other side, if you see the countries like with bigger populations, example India, can we have direct democracy here? We cannot have the direct democracy because, and we can have the indirect democracy. That means we will elect our representatives and representatives will take the decision on behalf of us. That was the reason why indirect democracy is also known as representative democracy. Because here we elect the representatives and representatives will take the decision on behalf of us. When I say direct democracy, it is also called as pure democracy, or everybody participates, right? Participatory democracy. So the democracy is basically ruled by the people, and it is categorized into two ways. First one is direct democracy and indirect democracy. In direct democracy, people are directly rule themselves. There no need of representatives concept at all, and that was the reason direct democracy is also called as pure democracy or participatory democracy. But on the other hand, with the countries like with huge populations, so they will opt for indirect democracy, and it is also known as representative democracy. That is what exactly what democratic means. So we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute our country into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. The first part is done. Are you familiar with all the 5 words, right? At least in layman terms. Then let's go to the second part. Yes. Objectives. This is what our constitution want to achieve. Only these objectives particularly: justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought expression, belief, faith, worship, equality of status and opportunity, and promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and unity and integrity of the nation. So you should understand that preamble per se will not do anything. Preamble just tells you that we want to achieve this. The provisions inside the constitution like fundamental rights, directive principles, fundamental duties, all those parts will achieve these objectives. Okay? So that means when we are discussing those provisions, we have to revisit again, because what is the objective of reading those particular parts you should understand. That is why we are focused about the objectives. First let's focus on the justice. What is justice? So justice is categorized into 3 things: social justice, economic justice, political justice. Basic examples let us see. First of all, social justice means no person should be discriminated. No person should be discriminated only on the basis of caste, religion, gender, place of birth or race. Okay, so these are certain grounds. That means only on this particular ground this person should not be discriminated. Everybody has to be treated equally. In that context, that is what we call social justice. In social justice, there will not be any discrimination. The objective is that there should not be any discrimination. For example, if you say article number 15 and as well as 16 of the Constitution, again don't worry about with respect to articles. With respect to public employment, you are so and so caste, so no, you are not eligible to apply. Is that the government is telling? Then if the government is telling like that, it violates social justice. And at the same time, there are some exceptions as well. What are those exceptions? Simple, reservations. Now the general category person or the OC category person cannot come and say that, see, you just now said that there will not be any discrimination. Okay, but now you are providing reservation to scheduled castes. Why? You are providing reservation to women. Why? My equality is violated. No, this is the exception. Social justice includes also bringing the marginalized communities onto that of the mainstream. Who are the marginalized communities? Scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, backward classes, women, all these are all backward classes, and social justice also includes bringing them onto that of the mainstream of the society. So the only thing, social justice means there should not be any discrimination. And if you are backward classes, bring them onto the mainstream of the society. That's what is the objective of social justice. Economic justice. Economic justice says that there is a very huge gap between rich and poor, right? Okay, and concentration of wealth is only in fewer hands and the rest of the population is suffering. This gap has to be bridged. When this gap has been bridged completely and everybody was brought on same level playing field economically, that is called economic justice. So objective number 1, the rich and as well as poor gap has to be bridged. Objective number 2, the concentration of wealth has to be completely distributed. That is what is called as economic justice. What is social justice? It's all about no discrimination. Okay, no discrimination only on the basis of caste, gender, place of birth, religion, etc. Okay, economic justice means objective is to bridge the gap between rich and poor, and the distribution of wealth has to be evenly distributed in the population. Okay. Then political justice. Earlier, while we were in British era, women don't have political rights, or only some sections of the society have political rights. They don't have even right to vote. So now political justice says that everybody has to be given equal access to the political rights, to the political institutions. So if tomorrow if you want to become a president of India, there is no bar, provided if you satisfy the basic eligibility criteria, you can even contest. Okay, so that means these public institutions and as well as the rights, everybody has to be, it has to be equal to every person. That is what is all about political justice. Only 3 justices are there: social, economic, political. Okay, social plus economical. Social justice, economic justice. What is the third one? Political justice. Correct. Social justice plus economic justice is called as distributive justice. Which of the following combination is basically social justice come economic justice come a political justice, social justice come a political justice, social, economic and political together can, no, it is actually social justice plus economic justice together constitutes distributive justice, we call it as. That means in distributive justice, we will be doing yes, right? So in distributive justice, we will be doing both the social justice and also the economic justice. Together constitutes distributive justice. So, yes, so should we stop here or can we continue? I think you have any other class? Okay, fine. So we will just do one more thing and then with that we will stop. Liberty, we will just see liberty and we will close for today. So that tomorrow revise it, all these things completely, take your handouts. So okay, tomorrow if you have any doubts, you can just let me know. I'll explain again, or otherwise we can continue forward. So what is it all about liberty? What is liberty? You should know these terms, Andy. Absence of restraints, or nothing but you have something called as freedom of action. Whatever the activities that you want to do, you are liberal enough to do that. Okay, state will not always say, or you need not ask the permission of the state to do this particular activity or do that particular activity. For example, freedom of movement. So you can freely move throughout the territory of India, isn't it? So then that is what is called it as liberty. And there exist in different forms of liberty, like liberty of thought, liberty of expression, belief, faith and worship. Let me tell you a very basic example of liberty. Is this liberty absolute? You can do whatever you want to do with this liberty, or are there any restrictions? There are some restrictions. Let us see some example of the recent Parliament's security breach. I hope you are aware of, right? Parliament's security breach. Like 2 youngsters entered into the Lok Sabha and then they fired these smoke canisters. They just took the visitors passes and then they entered into the Lok Sabha and fired these smoke canisters actually in the Lok Sabha, thereby causing a complete threat there. Now, let us understand this liberty on this concept. They just came as visitors. So they want to just visit the parliament building and all everything, and they want to move here and there, at least to the areas where they are allowed. That means they are having liberty. Liberty of freedom of movement. With that liberty, so they are roaming around and all. Now suddenly they started abusing their liberty, misusing the liberty that was given to them by entering into the restricted area and at the same time causing the threat to the security of our nation altogether. The parliament's security itself is completely under threat, right? So that means up till then their liberty is very free. They have that freedom of movement, but the moment they misused this liberty, immediately they were caught by the law enforcement agencies. Okay, and a case has been registered under UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. What the concept you have to understand? Whatever liberty that is given to you, it is not absolute. You can do whatever you want to do, but it should not harm others. It should not be derogatory to the dignity of the women particularly, and it should not be a threat to the security of our nation. Here it became a threat to the security of our country. So then immediately their liberty will be curtailed. Now no more they can say that, yeah, my liberty is there. Preamble, freedom of movement, my liberty. Why you are curtailing my liberty? Your liberty is being curtailed because it is you have done something which is restricted. You have done something an offense. That was the reason that was restricted. Understood, right? Liberty, what is it all about? Yes. The first important liberty in that is liberty of thought. Whatever you are creative, whatever your ideas you come, so whatever you creatively you do, everything is welcome. Okay, you can do anything of your choice. You can come up with any creative ideas. But again, is it absolute? No, your creative ideas should not be to tamper Indian Railways. Your creative ideas should not be to tamper the confidential systems of the government. Your creative ideas should help to bring the marginalized communities to the mainstream of the society. Your creativity should help you to solve the problems of the society. Okay. So with my creativity, I am solving these problems. With my creativity, I am trying to address these issues. Then all that creativity, everything, that is allowed. But with that creativity, you cannot tamper the Tatkal systems of IRCTC, or you cannot tamper the confidential these things of the systems. Fine. Liberty of thought says that you are free of having the creativity, but however that creativity is restricted. Liberty of expression. You can express freely anything of your choice, either by way of written or orally, in the online media, wherever you want to do. You are free to express. If you want to criticize government, criticize it. If you want to appreciate government, appreciate it. Nobody will stop you. Again, is it absolute? Not. Your words or writings should not be defamatory in nature. That means the other person's reputation should not be damaged. Okay, your gestures or basically your expressions should not violate the dignity of the women. And so with that, within that all that scope, you can enjoy your liberty of expression. First one is liberty of thought. Second one is liberty of expression. And the last 3 things, belief. Belief, faith and worship are all interlinked. The same says that whatever your religious beliefs, you can believe. If you love Hinduism, believe it. If Christianity, believe it. Muslim, believe it. No worries. Islam, believe it. No worries. Anything is fine. But even if you thought that I will not follow any religion, I will not have any belief, even that is also fine for us. Okay, you can do that as well. But you should not forcefully convert others onto your religion. You should not forcefully manipulate these people. Okay, with that you can have these particular rights. So liberty of thought, expression, faith, belief and worship. Justice includes social justice, which means there should not be any discrimination. The social justice also includes bringing the marginalized communities or backward classes onto the mainstream of the society. Second one is economic justice. The objective is bridge the gap between rich and the poor and also distribute the wealth to all the people. And the social justice plus economic justice together called as distributive justice. And finally the last one, political justice. Having equal voting rights, access to political institutions, etc. This is all about these things. I hope you have understood clearly. Starting from schedules to the liberty. Tomorrow we will start with equality and we will finish it off the preamble. Yes, thank you so much.